You can confirm to me.
Yeah, it is.
It's done, yeah?
Yeah.
Do we keep our mics on or off?
No, everybody should keep mic off. And खोपकर साहब जब आपका टर्न आएगा तो आप ऑन कर लीजिएगा.
वो कहाँ से करना है तो मुझे पता नहीं.
मैं कर देता हूँ, आप चिंता मत
ये शिव will do for you.
I've done it for you.
साहब जब आपका टर्न आएगा तो आप ऑन कर लीजिएगा.
कहाँ
एको आ रहा है. हाँ, वो एको आ रहा था, मैंने उसको हटा दिया. सो खोपकर जी, आपको if you are getting some problem, then Shivji can do it for you.
His mic is off, don't worry.
Okay, right. Namaskar and good evening, everyone. My name is Lalit Mohan Joshi. I'm a film historian and a documentary filmmaker. On behalf of South Asian Cinema Foundation, SACF, I welcome this distinguished panel and guests, as well as all Indian cinema lovers watching us from India as well as from many parts of the globe. I request all those who are attending our event on YouTube Live kindly subscribe to our channel, that is at Lalit Mohan Joshi London. Thanks. So we are here today to celebrate the cinema of Ritwik Ghatak, India's most original, radical and uncompromising filmmaker. We have to, if we can, unravel the enigma of Ritwik Ghatak today. On the centenary of his birth, the British Film Institute, BFI, for the first time is running a retrospective of his films and documentaries at the BFI South Bank since 1st of June. The retrospective concludes today with the screening of Jukti Tako Argapo. The screening is to start after we finish this event. Despite London's sweltering heat, the audiences have thronged to BFI to watch Ritwik Ghatak's films. The ambitious program has been curated by Sangeeta Sen. The program included new restorations of every feature alongside 3 unfinished films of Ritwik Ghatak, right from Nagarik, that was made before Sajjit Re's Pathir Panchali and released ironically after Ghatak's demise in 1976, to his Partition trilogy as well as many of his unfinished films. Ghatak is an icon. Through his dazzling innovations in cinematic storytelling, Ghatak examined the human cost of political betrayal, probing the fractures of family, culture, and social justice, always with hope and courage. His work was far ahead of its time and stands today as a thrilling testament to cinema's emotional, political, and moral power. So without going into details of history in my introduction, let me come straight to the point. Today's webinar, with its distinguished panel, will surely fulfill the purpose of this retrospective. We have amongst us the well-known Arun Khopkar Sahab, who has been a student of Ritwik Ghatak in the early 1970s. He graduated from the University of Bombay. He played the male lead in Manikal's Ashar Ka Ek Din. He joined the FTII in 1971, interacted with Ritwik Ghatak, and earned his diploma in film direction in 1974. He made several short films about arts and artists, winning 15 national and international awards. His book on the Hindi filmmaker Guru Dutt won National Award for the Best Book on Cinema and has been translated into several languages, including Hindi. He won the Sahitya Academy Award for his book of essays on arts and artists. He has published seminal papers on Sergei Eisenstein's films, theories at major international conferences and is regarded as world authority on the subject. He has taught film direction and film theory at several institutions in India and abroad. Welcome, Khopkar Sahab. We have Mazhar Kamran, noted film director, cinematographer, and educator. He is currently a professor at IIT Bombay School of Design. An alumnus of IIT Madras and FTII Pune, he began as a director of the Center and science-based series Surabhi and Turning Point, both popular on Indian television. He also directed documentary portraits of the eminent authors like Kurutula and Haidar for Sahitya Academy. As a cinematographer, he shot the landmark Hindi gangster film Satya in 1998. He has directed 2 feature films. His debut film, Mohandas, premiered at the San Francisco International Film Festival. He has recently completed his second feature film, Safar Mein Shahar. His book on Ritwik Ghatak, Ma, Uma, Padma, the epic cinema of Ritwik Ghatak, was published on the film director's birth centenary and launched at the International Film Festival of India, IFFI, in 2025. Welcome, Mazhar Kamran. We have Gayatri Chatterjee, who has been teaching film appreciation at the FTII and FAI, National Film Archive of India, summer course since 1987. She has conducted film appreciation courses several times in many universities and institutions all over India, namely the National School of Drama, National Institute of Design. She was faculty at the Direction Department of FTII between 2005 and 2011. She has written 2 books, Avara, that won Swarna Kamal or President's Gold Medal, and Mother India for BFI's film classical series. Sant Tukaram is awaiting a publisher. Welcome, Gayatri. We have Zahid Khan, who has contributed prominently as a writer, translator, and editor of works on the life of many eminent poets, writers, actors, filmmakers who contributed to the progressive writers movement in India. His book, Tarakki Pasand Tehreek Ke Humsafar, was translated into Marathi and Urdu. This won him an award from the Madhya Pradesh Hindi Sahitya Sammelan. In the context of our program today, I must mention his book on Ritwik Ghatak. Ritwik Ghatak नव यथार्थवादी सिनेमा का कलात्मक सर्जक, meaning Ghatak as a seminal icon of realistic cinema. Last but not the least, we have a special guest today, Dr. Shoma A. Chatterjee, my old friend, is one of the senior most film journalists in India. She has won national award twice, in 1991 for Best Journalist of the Year and in 2002 for the Best Book on Cinema. Her book, Woman at the Window, HarperCollins, was chosen as one of the 5 best books on cinema in 2017. She has authored 35 published titles and more than 20 on Indian cinema. She is currently working on a book on Ghatak. Well, we have so much to say, analyze and unravel on the Enigma of Ritwik Ghatak. So let me come to Arun Khopkar Sahab first. At the very outset, I pay my respect to you, sir, as you have taught me when I was doing my film appreciation course back in the 1980s. Welcome, sir. I will leave it to you how you show us the real Ghatak, his charisma and contribution, as you have been with him for a long time. Arun Khopkar ji.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, to be a part of this wonderful gathering. And I don't know how many of you have personally known Ritwik Da. I was lucky to be one of his students in 1971 for the first time and on his second visit in 1974. And so I would like to begin by introducing the kind of person that he was. I'm not going into the right now into the analysis of his films, etc. But he was a very handsome man, very tall by any standards, uh, had a frail, lithe body, and his gestures were expansive and could at will turn into very melodramatic gestures. And I'll give you an example of a, s- a kind of sample of the way he used to talk. So once we had some students had requested him to show us Bergman's Silence, which had a scene of lovemaking. And Ritikda, we waited for him for about 2 or 3 hours, and we kept on waiting. It was winter and it was very cold. And so when he came, he saw all of us gathered there. And Mr. P.K. Nair, who was the director of the National Film Archive, Ritik Das said to him, Nair, shall I show them the film of that Shurer Bacha, son of a pig, Bergman. So we were quite shocked. And Nair took the opportunity. He didn't want to show this film so late at night. Said, Dada, if you call him Shurer Bacha, why do you want to, show his films to these children? So Ritik, completely melodramatic. He was moving towards the uh, main theater. He stopped in his tracks, turned over his left shoulder, raised his left eyebrow, and said that if I call him Shurer Bacha, that is between him and me. For these boys, he is a great master. Show them the film. So this was the manner in which he would speak. And when he was in his element, this is something that I've heard from my professor Bhaskar Chandavarkar, himself a great musician and who had known Ritik extremely well because Bhaskar used to come and give music for the films. So once he asked Bhaskar, let's go to your music room and play me the Ninth Symphony. And when the Ninth Symphony began, Ritika said, Oh, my friend Beethoven, what are you doing? What are you doing to me? So it was this kind of very charged, melodramatic seemingly, but with a very genuine base to it. That was kind of personality that he had. And once I think Kumar Shahani saw Ritik uh, coming in early sunlight, early morning sunlight, and with shine in his eyes, he had taken off his spectacles, and he said, "Tiger, tiger, burning bright." So Ritik said, "Bright as burns." So so Kumar Shani said, "No, but that is William Blake's poem." Never mind. What is burning is burning. You know? So this was the kind of personality that he had. So I'll talk about other aspects, but I just wanted to give a feel of the person.
Yeah, that really puts his nature into perspective. Thanks for doing that, Arunji.
Thank
So
you. My
let me come
pleasure.
to uh, thank you. Let me come to Mazhar. Mazhar जी, आपने भी उन पर एक किताब लिखी है, and which has been released last year at FTII, not FTII in the IFFI. So how do you look at him as a filmmaker, and if at all, have you been influenced in some ways with the way he worked?
So as I begin in my book, I say that I discovered Ritwik Ghatak much later than I should have. So it is with a feeling of regret that I approached writing about him. And the reason for that is that At FTII, while his films were shown, they were not discussed much. And much later, when I started watching his films, I found a very powerful filmmaker. And so, yes, in that way, you can say I came late to him, and I did not have the good fortune to even see him like Arun Khopkarji. So there is no such direct influence, but it's more of, as a fellow filmmaker, I began to see his work. And when I had already done much of my work, I began to read about him and see his films and get more and more attracted to his both his personality and his way of looking at films and his thoughts about cinema uh, that he expressed on many occasions. So yes, and to sum up, I then conclude that he, to my eyes, became the most essential and representative filmmaker from India in my eyes. You know,
Right.
so almost like, and then in the book, I've written this in the book also, in the preface, that some filmmakers, take a while, like Ozu. In the case of Ozu, his stature has risen with the years. Whereas Kurosawa was instantly famous and well regarded, deservedly so. I'm not, but some filmmakers like Ozu, they take time, and today he's regarded as the finest, one of the finest. And his Tokyo Story is as moving and powerful today as it would have been when it was released. So the
Right.
same thing, I still feel that Ghatak is very relevant, and my book is an effort to bring him back into the eyes of the younger generation.
Congratulations for your book. So let me quickly get a take from Gayatri. Gayatri, you've been doing this film appreciation training. How do you see him as a filmmaker? Gayatri, you have to
She's
unmute yourself. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I did start teaching Ghatak's films, but very soon thereafter I subtitled 6 of his films. So, which means that I sat on the Steenbeck and saw the shots again and again and looked at the way he was editing because we had to spot the film. So, spotting means stopping at every shot. If it was a long shot, then stopping somewhere in the middle. So what happened was I not only did I learn Ghatak, I understood cinema. That what exactly is shot taking, what exactly is mise-en-scène, what he's doing with the duration of the shots. And then to my surprise, I read that he's saying that now that PC Barua is by far the best filmmakers we have. So when I started teaching Barua's film, Devdas, for example, the first 10 minutes of Devdas taught me what Ghatak was doing, which means Ghatak was doing, he was using shots not just to tell stories, A. B, he was using the shots for discursive purposes. It is as if I have to write something, I will not say the argumentative Indian, but the discursive India. How shots become discourse. Then in Barua and all the filmmakers following Barua, all those who worked with him, you don't see shot counter shot. Ghatak is not doing shot counter shot. He is using the bottom frame and at the top frame. For example, if you think of Shubhanurekha and the airport sequence, he is cutting violently. He's using the bottom frame, using the top frame, and he's going from left to right and right to left. So continuously, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. So he is using left of the frame, right of the frame, top of the frame, bottom of the frame very differently. And lastly, since he is not doing shot counter shot, he's using the look. The person who's looking at somebody else is the A is looking, B is looking, we are looking at A looking at B, we are looking at B looking at A, and he is not doing shot counter shot.
Just to
इससे क्या
quickly,
होता है? इससे क्या होता है? That the way he spoke, like sometimes melodramatic, sometimes in a profound manner. He was from East Bengal, so he was extremely rough, or he could be very tender. So his cinema produces not only intellect and emotion, as Eisenstein says, that I wish I could combine emotion and intellect. Ghatak is relevant to us because he's teaching certain traditions of Indian cinema, which we are forgetting today. And he teaches us how to combine the intellect and affect and emotion.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू। हम जाहिद जी से जानना चाहेंगे। जाहिद जी, अगर आप ये टेक्निकल जार्गन में ना जाएं, आपने पिछले साल इतने एक तरह से महाभारत के तरह से उन पर पुस्तक निकाली है, तो जाहिर है आपको कुछ प्रेरणा तो घटक से मिली होगी, वरना आप इतना बड़ा काम ना करते। तो आप एक साधारण सिंपल शब्दों में कैसे रखना चाहेंगे घटक, ऋत्विक घटक को भारतीय सिनेमा के परिप्रेक्ष्य में?
साथियों, ऋत्विक घटक को मैंने इफ्टा के जरिए जाना। इफ्टा के अभिनेता के जरिए, डायरेक्टर के जरिए, रंगमंच में उनके काम के जरिए, उनकी प्रतिबद्धता के जरिए, जो उनकी एक विचार के प्रति उनका जो कमिटमेंट था। अक्सर हम ऋत्विक घटक को एक अराजक शख्सियत के तौर पे पेश करते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम उनके अतीत में जाएं, उनके परिवार का बैकग्राउंड के बारे में जाएं, तो उनके पिता डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट थे और ढाका यूनिवर्सिटी में उन्होंने काफ़ी साल पढ़ाया। 8 भाषाओं में 8 सब्जेक्ट में उन्होंने एमए किया। और उनके परिवार में, उनके पिता के परिवार में, उनके घर में रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर, आबिदीन और उस्ताद फैयाज खान, करीम खान ऐसे जैसी शख्सियत आती थी। निश्चित तौर पे जब ऐसे लोग आते थे तो बाल जो मासूम ऋत्विक घटक है या जवान होते ऋत्विक घटक हैं, उन पे भी उनकी शख्सियत का असर पड़ा और वो पढ़ने लिखने की तरफ आगे आए। और जैसा कि बहुत से लोग ये नहीं जानते होंगे कि ऋत्विक घटक का जो पूर्वज हैं, तो नेहरू, मंटो, रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर और इकबाल की तरह उनके पूर्वज भी कश्मीरी थे। तो ये उनका बैकग्राउंड है। बंटवारा हुआ, कोलकाता आ गए और कोलकाता आने के बाद इफ्टा का आंदोलन उस वक्त काफी उफान पर था। और अगर ऋत्विक घटक की शुरुआती जीवन जिंदगी देखें तो वो 2 शख्सियत से ज्यादा प्रभावित थे। एक तो विजन भट्टाचार्य का उन्होंने उस समय नवान नाटक देखा, जो बंगाल में जो अकाल पड़ा था, उस अकाल पर केंद्रित था। जब नवान देखा तो उनकी पूरी दिशा बदल गई। और कोलकाता में वो संपर्क में आते हैं पैराडाइज कैफे। कोलकाता में एक पैराडाइज कैफे था, वहाँ ये सारी शख्सियत आती थी एप्टा से जुड़ी हुई, मृणाल सेन, तापस सेन, खालिद चौधरी, काली बनर्जी। तो इन सब से जब उनकी मीटिंग हुई, अड्डेबाजी हुई, तो वो इफ्टा की ओर आए, इफ्टा से जुड़े और उन्होंने उस वक्त इफ्टा के कई नाटकों का निर्देशन किया, उसमें अभिनय किया और कई साल तक वो नाटक करते रहे और इफ्टा के सचिव के पद पे भी रहे वहाँ। फिर उसके बाद एक समय वो सेंट्रल स्क्वाड के भी डायरेक्टर रहे। और सेंट्रल स्क्वाड का, जैसे सभी लोग जानते होंगे, जब अकाल के लिए जो मदद के लिए जो टीम निकला सेंट्रल स्क्वाड, तो उसका एक बड़ा योगदान है। ऋत्विक
तो ये
घटक
जो
हमेशा
ये
एक
माफ कीजिएगा, ये जो इतना विशद विषय को आपने लेकर के किस तरह से
जी
कोलेट किया, बहुत ही संक्षेप में आप बताएं। जो आपकी पुस्तक है, और हमारे इस वक्त ऑडियंस में हिंदी समिति के लोग हैं, और जो कि प्रेरित कर सकते हैं लोगों को आपकी किताब खरीदने के लिए। तो इस किताब के बारे में बताइए कि कैसे आपने इसको जोड़ा, किन किन लोगों से आपने लिखवाया। शायद आपने अरुण खोपकर जी से भी, उनका भी एक राइटअप इसमें है, और शायद मजहर साहब का भी है। तो
हाँ
बताएं
बिल्कुल
इसके बारे में,
बेशक।
बताइए।
जब 4 नवंबर आया तब एकदम ख्याल आया कि क्यों ना ऋत्विक घटक पर एक किताब संपादित की जाए। और हिंदी में ऋत्विक घटक साहब पर कोई किताब मौजूद नहीं है मेरी जानकारी में। जब इस बात पर ख्याल आया तो हमें कई साथियों ने इसमें मदद की, जिसमें आपने सही फरमाया कि अरुण खोपकर साहब, मजर कामरान, गौतम चटर्जी, अनूप सिंह, पलाश विश्वास साहब, बेबी सो, ऐसे कई साथी, अमिताभ अमिताभ श्रीवास्तव, अरविंद दास, विनोद दास, अ, रमन सिन्हा, इन सब साथियों ने तो हमें योगदान दिया ही, अपने आले को मुहैया कराए ही। इसके अलावा हमारे एक साथी जयनारायण प्रसाद जो कोलकाता में रहते हैं, उन्होंने एक जिम्मेदारी संभाली। जो बांग्ला में जो उनके समकालीन, ऋत्विक घटक के जो समकालीन थे, उनके आलेखों का उन्होंने हिंदी में अनुवाद किया। अगर उनके समकालीन जाने तो उनकी पत्नी सुरमा घटक, बहन प्रीति देवी, खाले चौधरी, तापस सेन, सतीश रे, मृणाल सेन, दीनेन गुप्त, ऐसे तमाम शख्सियत, गुलजार के उन्होंने आलेख हिंदी में अनुवाद किए। फिर जब ये सिलसिला आगे बढ़ा तो हमने ये सोचा कि इंटरव्यू, इसमें साक्षात्कार बहुत जरूरी है। अगर ऋत्विक घटक खुद अपने बात बताएं तो वो ज्यादा प्रमाणिक मानी जाती है। तो हमने जब इंटरव्यू तलाश किए तो हमें प्रवीर सेन का एक इंटरव्यू मिला जो 1975 का है, और वो हिंदी में अभी तक नहीं आया था। तो हमने उस इंटरव्यू को बांग्ला से अनुवाद किया। बेबी सो ने हमारी काफी मदद की। उन्होंने इस लंबे इंटरव्यू को अनुवाद किया। इसके अलावा अनूप सिंह जी से हमने गुजारिश की तो उन्होंने हमें अंग्रेजी में एक आलेख दिया, तो उसका भी हमने अनुवाद कराया। गौतम घोष, जब भूमिका की बात आई तो कि भूमिका हम कैसी शख्सियत किससे लिखवाएं, तो जयनारायण प्रसाद साहब से जब बात हुई तो गौतम घोष साहब ने जब इसके बारे में जाना तो वो शहर से तैयार हो गए। और गौतम, सबको जानकर खुशी होगी कि गौतम घोष साहब की इसमें भूमिका है। और जहां तक इंटरव्यू की बात है तो एक इंटरव्यू नेत्र सिंह रावत और प्रमोद जोशी साहब ने 1975 में दिनमान के लिए दिया था। और वो इंटरव्यू 1981 में जब दिल्ली में ऋत्विक रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव हुआ तो उसमें भी वो प्रकाशित हुआ। तो वो इंटरव्यू भी हिंदी वालों, हिंदी के पाठकों के बीच अप्राप्य था। तो उस इंटरव्यू को भी हमने इसमें शामिल किया और
आपने
हमने
मतलब
इसको कोशिश की।
आपने सारे
जी
धुरंधरों को इसमें जुटा लिया।
जी जी
धुरंधर आजकल काफी ऐसा प्रचलित शब्द हो गया है, पर आपने सारे धुरंधरों को पकड़ लिया। तो मुझे लगता है कि बहुत सारे लोग आप उत्सुक होंगे आपकी पुस्तक लेने के लिए। तो मैं आपको जाहिद साहब यहाँ पे विराम देता हूँ, फिर आपसे दोबारा अभी दूसरे राउंड राउंड में बात करेंगे। इसके पहले कि हम और ज्यादा परत दर परत घटक साहब को जाने, क्योंकि घटक जो है वो तो एक रहस्य की तरह भी हैं। तो इसके लिए खोपकर साहब से बेहतर कोई नहीं हो सकता। पर बिकॉज वी हैव गॉट आवर स्पेशल गेस्ट टुडे, शोमा चैटर्जी, आई वांट शोमा चैटर्जी to briefly give her take on Ghatak, because she has also written on Ghatak and she's writing a book on him. Shoma,
Where is she?
is she there or not? I can't see
I
her.
can't see her here.
Oh, she
No.
had joined. Anyway, I think when she joins later, we can go to her. तो खोपकर साहब, अब फिर जो बॉल है वो आपके कोर्ट में आती है। तो
अरे
अब आप आगे का रहस्य खोलिए कि वो क्या थे। घटक साहब तो आपके डायरेक्टर थे। पहले तो ये बताइए कि वो फिल्म इंस्टीट्यूट में कैसे आ गए, और उसके बाद आपके साथ उनका क्या सानिध्य था, क्या आपके साथ दोस्ती, प्रेम, झगड़ा क्या हुआ।
दोस्ती प्रेम झगड़ा, प्रेम तो बहुत है, दोस्ती और झगड़ा कैसे होगा उनके साथ? वो तो इतनी बड़ी शख्सियत थी।
जी
लेकिन वो आए तो विजिटिंग प्रोफेसर के तौर पर आए। जैसे कुमार और मणि के समय वो एक्चुअली वाइस प्रिंसिपल रहे। सो ही wasn't actually a staff member. He was just visiting the institute as a visiting professor. And visiting professor is also again a kind of wrong word to use, because Ritik, once he was on the campus, there were no other lectures practically. You all gathered around him, and it was more or less like a Gurukul Paddhati. So he would sit and you would surround him, ask him questions, and whatever he felt, whether it was Mahabharat, whether it was the tribal culture, or whether it was the molecular biology, or he was such an extreme, such an erudite and so widely read person. And not only sciences, but he had studied music from Aladia Khan, and he knew Ravi Shankar extremely well. And in fact, the Film Institute music syllabus uh, was where Pandit Ravi
No, not
Shankar was.
Aladia, Alauddin Khan.
Alauddin Khan, sorry, what did I say? Aladia,
Aladia.
Mea culpa.
Hmm.
So अलाउद्दीन खान साहब और वो उनका जो घराना था, सेनिया घराना, वो उसकी परंपरा, वो he brought it to the institute, and Bhaskar Chandavarkar, my professor of music, was also a disciple of Ravi Shankar. And musicality was such an important part of Ritwik Das creativity that when you talk about melodrama, which is like melody and drama, this melody was something that his films were filled with. Like he had, whether it was the folk songs or whether it was uh, Lalan for Tita Shetty Nadirnam, he used folk songs so extensively. Lalan, Gayatri, please fill in. Lalan.
He used a lot of Hasan Raja.
No,
Hasan Raja.
Lalan.
Lalan
No, no.
Fakir, he has not used
Lalan
so much.
Fakir, yeah. Yeah. So Lalan Fakir. And so it was a kind of culture where, though he was Marxist and he had studied Marxism and Western philosophy, but when he spoke about communism as actually having in common, he was referring to the tribals also. He was referring to that extremely like Orions, which come prominently in Ojantrik. And so his ideas were deeply influenced by Indian philosophy, Buddhist philosophy. In fact, when he talks about Rajgir, he says, I'm walking here and I can't believe that, you know, such great figures who founded world religions also walked the same streets. So there was something extremely Indian about his way of thinking, but it was not the parochial Indianism. It was not a restrictive Indianism. It was a very integral part of his identity. And if you take the religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they're all Ahle Kitab. They're all people of the book, where the religion is anthropocentric. Whereas if you take Buddhism, Jainism, these are not anthropocentric religions. So Ritwik's ability, I mean, his communism, so to say, extended to trees, to animals, and even to Ojantrik, where he chose the subject of a man who is madly in love with even a machine. So the main force in Ritwik Das' personality and his films is his ability to love the whole universe and also to hate those who are against love. Against them, he would thunder. He would curse like a rishi. But he was capable of giving an ushap which would redeem you. So there was something about him, his personality, which had extremely deep Indian roots. And by Indians, I don't mean Hindu roots. I mean, please don't take it in that sense at all, because there is much more to India than Hindutva. There
I
is
would.
Islam.
If
So
I
all these religions, including animism, which have contributed, Ritwik was capable of bringing them to his personality and to his cinema and to his students, to his teachings, to his writings.
So,
And this
Khokar
is what,
Saab, if you allow me, I just want to ask you. I understand what you are saying, but Ghatak was so much influenced or admired filmmaker like Sergei Eisenstein, on which you are an authority, and he
yeah.
was neorealism. He was sort of in the forefront of new wave cinema. But at the same time, what differentiated him from other filmmakers of realism, of new wave, was his melodrama. He used sometimes very loud kind of sequences, melodrama. Oh, how do you look into that? Why did he do that?
You see, actually, any realism, unless it can go beyond surface realism, has no life in it. It has no soul in it. It'll only be reproduction. It'll be like a police report. ऐसा हुआ था 4 बजे वो यहाँ आए अरे 4 बजे आए तो क्या हुआ but unless you make that 4 o'clock significant by the kind of light that you have at 4 o'clock, by the kind of wind that was blowing at 4 o'clock, and the emotions of the people. So melodrama also has pathetic fallacy at its basis, as well as Rutikda, because he did not believe in that kind of romantic, like nature is crying, that's why it's raining. I mean, it's a very simplistic kind of melodrama. But Rutikda went much deeper and he brought out something which was larger than life.
Right.
The drama which was larger than life and which moved towards archetype and archetypical images. So when you see the depiction of woman, the lensing used, the framing used in, excuse me, even Megida Katara or in other films, they appear like goddesses momentarily, and then next moment they're ordinary realistic women. So this is what Pratikda brought. And about Eisenstein, there is like a gharana, a musical gharana, because there is this wide angle lens which has tremendous depth of field and which will show you something from very close to infinity. So Ritik, like Eisenstein, was very fond of this wide angle lens. And this wide angle lens has come to cinema through painting. So people like painters like El Greco, Tintoretto, they compose in great depth. So do the Japanese woodcut painters. And this depth of field goes beyond realism because it's not the experience of your everyday viewing. So it is real. At the same time, it is super real, supra real. So that is what he's so passionately, and that's what bound him to Eisenstein.
Right.
because Eisenstein was like Tagore, a universal man. He made a film in Mexico, but he knew so much about Indian culture. When I was working in Moscow from Eisenstein's last home, Perata Shiva's home, I found that even Indian miniatures, he had books. And
Oh,
his idea of metaphor, there is a very famous Indian miniature where women's bodies make the figure of an elephant. And it's a very erotic drawing. So Eisenstein had a copy of that drawing also in his collection.
I didn't know
So
that
it
he was.
was
I never knew that Eisenstein was so much influenced or inspired by Indian
not
things.
so much, I mean, among other cultures, Mexican, but it was really a universal kind of man, you know.
Mm.
He had great understanding of Chinese theater, Kabuki theater, of
Mm.
alienation. I mean, all these things. And Rutikda was like that, but without the European bias.
Yes.
He had absorbed it all, but he did not give himself to the Anglo-Saxon culture. I think
Yeah.
that was the main difference.
Yeah.
That
Uh,
he
yeah.
that
Thank
he
you.
took it all,
Mm.
modified it, and gave it back to the world, but without the sikka of the British Empire.
Correct. Mazhar Kamran, I would like to. I mean, we all know that Ghatak never deals with partition directly, like say Garam Hawa, Pinjar, or like Main Wapas Aaunga. But Ghatak, partition is a subtext. So his three films, which are credited for his trilogy, like Komal Gandhar and Meghe Dhake Tara and another one. So how do you see these films on partition? You can unmute yourself.
Yes, while these films have been referred to as a partition trilogy, I would like to, have a fresh look at them and not limit them to partition. Actually, I think that term has become very restrictive for these films. I would like to abandon it completely. Having read Ghatak, having access to his letters, his articles, and all his complete body of work, starting from Ajantrik and with Jukti Tappo or Gappo, and before that Nagrik also, seeing the entire body of work and reading his own thoughts about his work, he himself never wanted to call it films about partition. So I think that is something that is stuck to it, and they limit the films. They are as universal as any of his films, because he himself says, that he never planned any such thing, a trilogy or films on partition. To me, they are much more about the human condition, homelessness. In fact, Ghatak himself says, if I am a refugee, everybody is a refugee. That
Yes.
sentence is very revealing. That
He may not have.
homelessness.
He may not have even thought that this
Huh.
they are going to be known as a partition trilogy.
Absolutely. He was, I think, I would say, irritated by that. Reading, because during his life only people started referring. So he was a bit, so he kind of didn't like that idea. He says, if I'm a refugee, everybody's a. So don't look at it as refugee, a story about a refugee. So he found that his vision is being, too contained. And he was like Khopkaji is painted as a vivid portrait of him. He is a very expansive and very what shall I say, instinctual man, Even though he reveres filmmakers, Bergman, he can be abusive, He's so instinctual. And he says, वो मेरा उनका मामला है. आप लोग अपना मामला आप लोग बनाओ, है ना? So that was his personality. So, okay, so that's one that I think, so it's about homelessness, yes, which is a universal thing. And I would reposition them as faces of the feminine, actually. Three faces, the feminine is what he's focusing on in those films. In three sort of a prism of three, like he's refracting that feminine, that is how I would going forward, wish people see them as very, very strong portraits of the feminine in the Indian ethos, in the Indian sensibility. So that is the other thing, So he was another thing I want to say. While he knew all the classics and like Western canon films and all that, starting from Eisenstein to Neorealism, he was not really enamored. He appreciated, yes, but he was not enamored. That is why you find a certain aggression in him towards them. It is not a petty one. It's about, that's your way of making a film. Let me make film my way. Fine, you don't teach me. Almost like he's saying, I respect you. You are from a different culture. You made your films. I'll make films my way. So he was, that is what informed his everything, camera angles, his violence with the sound. He was probably reacting to this very fine, Western aesthetic where everything is very refined and, fine tuned and all that. So he was rebelling against all of that because he had gone through and seen the human condition firsthand.
So as a director of photography, how do you view the way he shot his films?
Very
Would you like to
instinctual.
give an example?
He's completely instinctual, I would say. He is not following any set aesthetic. He wants to put a certain lens, he'll put that lens. That wide lens, normally now in film schools, or in normal films, Western films, Hollywood, close up, automatically you go to a telephoto lens. Now, Ghatak was averse to that. So he wants that closeness, say, to the heroine of his films. He wants to show that close up, but he will, place a wide angle lens very close to the face, and that will create a very interesting framing.
Yeah.
So he was just, I think, listening to his heart, and as Bresson says, no. Bresson is who articulates this position of do not do what your mind tells you, do what your heart tells you.
Correct.
Ghatak was like that, very instinctual, very rebellious, and I think what I see, all of this, I'm getting to put together also from all the letters that he wrote to his wife, which have been published recently in Bengali only, and that I thought I was able to read him, afresh.
Right.
That is
Great.
how I would like to, yeah.
So, Khopkar Sahab, I informally talking to you about Ghatak, you told me that in your opinion, he was perhaps the best, the way he used sound in the film. You consider him as perhaps the best filmmaker, if I'm right. Would you like to?
I don't think that one can speak in terms of hierarchies, because sometimes, like Ritwik, his sound, his tendency, his whole personality is very explosive. If you take Ozu, his whole personality is extremely quiet. But both are masters of sound. They will use them, Ozu will use it so sparsely, or Bresson will use it so sparsely that he will make you hear what you normally would miss. And Ritikda will make you hear something that you're familiar with, but he will do it in such a way that it becomes unfamiliar and you look at it again. So sometimes it's like the power in music. Say, for example, sum is the most important point in a musical cycle, the tala cycle. So some can be stressed, but there is also great singers. They don't stress the sum. वो बोलते हैं अनाघात सम है, उस पे हम स्ट्रेस नहीं देते. तो आप जान लीजिए कि ये सम है, कि आपके मन में वो पैदा होनी चाहिए सम. मेरे दिखाने से कुछ नहीं होगा जब तक आपके मन में नहीं पैदा होती. So in that sense, he would let you bring forth something like the associations of sound. And there is a wonderful description. We have a very authentic description by Bhaskar Chandavarkar of how when Ritwik was completely drunk, went to sleep, then got up, and he started hitting different objects against each other and creating sounds, and everyone thought that he had gone mad. And Bhaskar said when he was putting the soundtrack together and mixing the sounds, my professor of sound told me that it was a winter night and it was very cold, and that theater, there was no air conditioning is those days to the sound theater. But he said in that cold night of Pune winter, I broke into cold sweat listening to that mixing of sound. So that was the kind of power that Ritwik could bring to his sound. And so musicality, it was not sound, it was not music, it was pre-music, जहां से म्यूजिक जो कोक से पैदा होती है वहां तक वो जाते थे साउंड में. So he reached the womb of sound, he did not reach the utterance of sound. He went so deep.
Could you give an example of the use of sound in a particular sequence from, say, Komal Gandhar, for example, or any other
Actually,
film?
I mean, the examples are extremely well known, of the whiplash sound and
Yes,
of
yeah,
the boiling rice sound. I mean, they have become cliches also.
yeah,
But there are sometimes, particularly in Shubharnarekha, when he uses the children are playing on the ruined airport, and
yeah,
suddenly you begin to hear the sound of the landing, a plane's landing.
yeah, yes.
And there is no plane landing, there's nothing. This child just imagining that, you know. But the way that sound comes, it is such a stroke of genius. I mean, no one else would do it, in the whole world. I don't think anybody would use sound with that kind of power and imagination. So I think even I mean, I uh, differ a little with Mazhar Khan Saab in terms of the partition business, because it's not the political partition that Ritwik Da had in mind, but it is the fragmentation of a personality. Like when you mentioned, in the Mazhar Khan Saab, जब आपने mention किया कि औरतों के ये तीन अंश है, sensuousness है, the terror of Kali hai, and the compassion of Durga, of the Gauri. So these three aspects, and so his urge for communism or for Orion life was because there was an integrity. It was an integrated way of living. In Ajantarik, there is an integrated way of living with a machine. So it is the breaking of integration which science and modern civilization and imperialism have brought about, that he stood against. I mean, that's my reading of him. But
So, so
I'm
Khopka Sahab, I'm not trying to from sublime to ridiculous, but the thing is that how do you see the alcoholism of Ritwik Da? He was after doing a great sequence, like during his last film he was doing. How do you look at his alcoholism and the way he became self-destructive?
It's very difficult to say these things, because what one sees, I mean, what one should look for is their art. I mean, I have written a book on Guru Dutt. Guru Dutt
Yeah.
also destroyed himself, and they
Yes.
were similar. But वो उनकी निजी बात है.
हाँ, सही बात है.
हमको उससे कुछ लेन देन नहीं है. If I write a book on Guru Dutt, I will say that he had a will to die. I mean, he had a death wish. But beyond that, I would not attribute it to anything like, अरे वो इधर रेमन से उनकी शादी नहीं हुई वगैरह. वो चना कुरमारा वाली बात आनी नहीं चाहिए.
सही बात है.
किसी की बात, वो चने खाते थे और ये करते थे और ये सब नहीं आना चाहिए. वो आर्ट है, वो आर्ट की हैसियत से देखिए आप, उसमें क्या लेना है क्या देना है. बाकी हर everyone is entitled to, like Chaplin. There were so many incidents in Chaplin's life for which he has been criticized so severely because he used to like very young women or almost girls. But does that make him a lesser artist?
No.
You know? Polanski, what about Polanski? Polanski has had so many charges against him. And Jean Genet, for example, he was a confirmed gay and criminal, but he was one of France's greatest writers, Jean Genet. तो वो निजी बात है, वो उस लेवल पे हमको आना ही नहीं चाहिए.
Shukriya. I will come back to you about his relationship with his students. But before that, I would like to ask Gayatri. Gayatri, you want to add something to what Mazahar ji and Khopkar Saab has explained just now? Any point you have?
Lalit, I want to say that as Mazhar said, that a lot of talk about Ghatak has become very restrictive. ये एक साइड में रियलिज्म, दूसरा साइड में मेलोड्रामा, ऐसा नहीं था. ही इज एक्चुअली एंड ही इज नॉट इंस्टिंक्टिव. तो अगर हम बोलेंगे कि वो इंस्टिंक्टिव थे तो वो एनिग्मा ही रह जाएगा. साउंड के बारे में आप पूछ रहे थे, युक्ति तक्को गप्पो. मैंने साउंड ट्रैक को रिकॉर्ड किया जब व्हेन आई वाज सबटाइटलिंग, and I realized कि वो sound जो use कर रहे हैं, as Arun said, it's like pre-language, language, musicality, सब he's straddling the entire history. So ये aesthetic समझना, it was not jargon. Aesthetic समझना बहुत important है कि वो shot taking कैसे कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो एक के शॉट के बाद ये कहानी बताना, कहानी नहीं बता रहे हैं. He is talking about not only human condition, he's talking about contemporary history, he's talking about back history, he's going back to the questions of civilizations. Ajantrik is a question about civilizations from the Orang to the industrial age. Shubhanurekha. So we understand what is epic. Epic is from the contemporary, going back to our understanding of the civilization, और कैसे civilization displaced होते हैं, constantly migrate करते हैं, जैसे कि Arun said or Mazhar said, it is about homelessness. It is for the search for the new home. Man or woman, they're always traveling. His cinema जो बना रहे हैं, वो जो स्क्रिप्ट जो लिख रहे हैं, उसमें रियलिज्म भी है और different kinds of say Bijon Bhattacharya and him in every film. Why is he teaching? Why is Bijon Bhattacharya teaching Sanskrit or Bangla? Why somebody is teaching history and English? We have to understand for everything he's saying. Why he's Subhanurekha mein suddenly she starts singing Aju Behta Anand. Why? This song is coming from Amanindra's book, Raj Kahini. So the entire history of Rajputana. So he's tackling the spread of human history. human condition, migration, displacement. And that's why I said कि ये जो उनका जो editing है, it's like I told Milan Sen, please sit with me on the editing table कि I will show what he is doing. Instinct नहीं है, एकदम higher, Arun said, supra-realism, higher mathematics in his editing. So what he is doing is that he is talking of, say, woman, for example, Sita or Nita, gradually उनका एक deification होता है. Men जो है वो history में रह जाते हैं. So from history to a certain push, if you push history, it goes towards mythology. It goes beyond our understanding. And then in Yukti Tokko, he's saying that this happened and this happened. And after that, I don't understand. I don't understand. And then he's saying that Jibito jibite dharmo dui amog dui udurnibar. The living and the Shanta had and Aruna had discussed with ye dharma, how to translate this dharma. And Shanta had said imperative. ये जो हमारा जो imperative है, ये हमें करना है. This is our tendency. All these are amog and durnibar. So film after film, he's saying that there's going to be a resurgence. Shubhon Rekha ends by saying, Charai beti, go on walking, go on walking. So, you know, ये जो restrictive discussions हम कर रहे हैं कि ये realism है या melodrama है, ये क्या है, instinctive है, नहीं instinctive नहीं है, very deep understanding of cinema.
Very
This
interesting.
deep understanding of cinema is not coming from music, his understanding of music, but at the same time, when he tried, as Bhaskar is to often say, that he tried the Indian classical structure in Megadakatara, but वो जमा नहीं. So then his use of music in Shubhon Rekha becomes very different. And then the sound design, I learned all about sound design by subtitling Ghatak. When it comes to Jukti Tokko Goppo, it's unbelievable. वो तो बैठ के देखना पड़ेगा उसको, you know, shot by shot, sound bit by sound bit, देखना पड़ेगा कि how he's organizing his shots or how he's telling his stories, कि character कैसे बना रहे हैं, how he's developing the characters, ये सब जानने की बहुत जरूरत है. Otherwise he will remain an enigma.
Interesting comment. So now what I want to do is, I would, as a last segment, I would like to go to Arunji for Ghatak as a teacher, because it's very amazing that so many filmmakers, Saeed Akhtar Mirza, Adur Gopal Krishnan, Arunji himself, they are in a way, if I can use that word, proteges of Ghatak. They appreciate him. But before that, I would like to take a concluding comment from Zahid. Zahid बहुत गौर से सुने. Zahid जी, आप मुझे बहुत शॉर्ट में ये बताइए कि आप जो बातें यहाँ हुई घाटक को एज ए अल्टीमेट सिनेमा के फिगर के रूप में पाठकों को या हिंदी के लोगों को, जैसे आपने पुस्तक लिखी, आप किस तरह से उनको सम अप करेंगे?
ऋत्विक घटक की आज के दौर में प्रासंगिकता क्या है, उनकी फिल्मों का पैगाम क्या है, वो आज हमारे लिए क्यों जरूरी है? अगर हम इस बात की ओर ध्यान दें तो ऋत्विक घटक की जो सारी फिल्में हैं, बंटवारे की पीड़ा और विस्थापन के उसमें सवाल कहीं ना कहीं उसमें बार बार आते हैं. और आज का मौजूदा दौर देखें तो आज उस तरह का बंटवारा तो नहीं है, लेकिन इंसान के बीच में जो बंटवारा है, मजहब के नाम पर जो बंटवारा है, नस्ल के नाम पर जो बंटवारा है, और जिस तरह से विस्थापन हो रहा है कई समुदायों का, कभी मजहब के नाम पर, कभी विकास के नाम पर, तो ऐसे समय में हमें ऋत्विक घटक और उनका सिनेमा दोनों ही प्रासंगिक हो जाते हैं, जरूरी हो जाते हैं उनका सिनेमा अगर हम उनका सिनेमा देखें तो वो मनुष्यता को बचाने का सिनेमा है, इंसानियत को बचाने का सिनेमा है। मेरा बस यही कहना है।
बहुत बहुत खूब, बहुत अच्छी बात आपने कही। तो अब मैं ये भी चाहता हूँ कि अब अरुणदा से बात करने के बाद थोड़े सवाल भी हम ले सकते हैं, क्योंकि कुछ लोग यहाँ पर हैं जो कुछ उनसे पूछना चाहेंगे। वो अरुणदा से या आप सब लोगों से बात कर सकते हैं। But I don't want to miss this opportunity because Arun Khopkar ji is here. How do you see him as a teacher and the way he impacted on a range of filmmakers who, uh, especially the new kind of filmmakers, and you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about, Arun ji.
Yeah, yeah. I think there is a saying, like if something can be taught, then it's not worth learning. If something can be taught, it's not worth learning. And
Right.
if it is not, so what Ritik Dai did, his teaching was something which could not be taught. So he never taught that this is it, this is the way to take a shot, this is the way to use it, this is the way to use sound. No, nothing. He expressed the most intimate relationship he had with anything that he was doing. So he used to say that architect and carpenter must share the same language. कि जैसे कि एक तरह से वो कभी पढ़ाते थे तो फिलोसॉफिकल लेवल पे पढ़ाते थे, उसमें लेंस की और ये किसी भी टेक्निकल चर्चा नहीं आती थी। लेकिन जब वो एक्चुअली फिल्म मेकिंग की लैंग्वेज पे जाते थे, क्लास पढ़ाते थे, जैसे कि उसकी रोटी नहीं, मृणाल सेन की ये जो फिल्म थी पहली सुहासिनी मूल्य ने जिसमें काम किया था,
Bhuvan Shom.
Oh, you are
Bhuvan
talking
Shom.
about Bhuvan
Bhuvan
Shom.
Shom,
Bhuvan Shom.
Bhuvan Shom, yeah.
Brilliant film.
So after seeing that film, he told KK Mahajan that भाई आप रिफ्लेक्टर ठीक यूज नहीं नहीं कर सकते तो मत कीजिए. So KK, who's such a great cameraman, he said, I thought about this. And he said that when Ritikda was watching this film, he looked as if he was completely drunk and his eyes were closed. But एक जगह रिफ्लेक्टर हिला था तो चेहरे की लाइट अचानक बदल गई.
हाँ.
तो वो पूरी फिल्म होने के बाद जो आदमी लगा था कि ये सोया है, उसने ये कारपेंटर के लेवल की बात कही. और वो आर्किटेक्ट के लेवल की बात कहते थे कि जब वो आइजनस्टाइन के रोजू के बारे में बात करते थे तो उन्होंने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि ये सच है, ये नहीं है, वो ये ऐसा है. वो उसके पहले वो बात को बताने के पहले उसके जो पीछे जो एक प्रेरणा है, वो प्रेरणा तक आपको ले जा सकते थे. जैसे कि कुमार संभवम जो कालिदास की महाकाव्य है,
कृति है.
तो ही वांटेड टू डू कुमार संभवम in a mill workers quarters because the husband and wife would be a working class couple, but he wanted to bring the grandeur of Kumar Sambhavam to a Bombay chawl in which a working class couple is living. So that is what teaching was for him, to make you look deep within yourself. एक दिन वो क्लास में आए थे, बोले आप में से कितने लड़कों को एक पेड़ पे बेहद प्यार था. तो एक डायरेक्शन की क्लास से पेड़ की बात चल रही है तो किसी को समझ में नहीं आया. तो एक दो लड़कों ने, और मुझे प्यार था पेड़ से तो मैंने हाथ उठाया. वो बोले कि तो ये दो तीन लड़के आप क्लास में रह जाओ, बाकी के घर जा सकते हैं, आप कभी आर्टिस्ट नहीं बनेंगे. So अभी देखो, the ability to love a tree, the capacity to love a tree is so important to him that
And
if you
in his
didn't have
films,
it,
even in his
yeah,
films, tree is very important.
absolutely. At least
Yeah.
वो मेगेडा का तरह का
हाँ,
क्या
क्या बात है
पेड़
उसमें,
है
हाँ,
बोला।
हाँ,
तो
correct.
ये जो बात है ना उनमें, अजांतरिक के क्या पेड़ है उसमें,
बिल्कुल।
क्या वनश्री है वहां की। तो ये जो पूरे यूनिवर्स को, जैसे रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर में ये कैपेसिटी थी, ही वाज अ पैंथेइस्ट, कि पूरे विश्व पर उनका प्रेम था। तो ऋतिक दा उसी ट्रेडिशन में थे, आइजनस्टाइन उसी ट्रेडिशन में था, कि आदमी हो या, आई मीन व्हेन यू सी डॉग्स लाइफ ऑफ चैपलिन, वो कुत्ता और आदमी का क्या उनकी रिलेशनशिप है। उम्बर्टो डी देखो आप, कुत्ता और आदमी की क्या रिलेशनशिप है।
बिल्कुल।
तो ऐसे नहीं कि ह्यूमनिज्म ह्यूमनिज्म इज अ वेरी नैरो थिंग, यू नो, इट्स अ वेरी नैरो थिंग। ह्यूमनिज्म में कुछ नहीं, एंथ्रोपोसेंट्रिक चीज है। वो जो प्यार करने की शक्ति है, वो प्यार किसी से भी हो सकता है और होना ही चाहिए। ये उन्होंने स्टूडेंट्स को दिया।
थैंक यू सो मच यार।
और हर आदमी अपने पास जो लोटा लेके आता है, उससे ज्यादा पानी तो लेके नहीं वापस जा सकता।
हाँ, सही बात है।
तो
It depends
जिसका
upon
जितना
your,
लोटा था उतना भर गया।
हाँ, तो जितने भी फिल्म मेकर्स उनसे प्रभावित हुए, लाइक सईद एंड अडूर, वो कितना लोटे में पानी लेके गए।
नहीं, लोटा खाली होना चाहिए,
अच्छा,
वहां
राइट राइट,
जाकर पानी मिलेगा।
हाँ, राइट राइट। That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Arunda. So now I
माय
think
प्लेजर।
it has been wonderful talking to all of you, all the panelists. So I would request, अगर आप लोगों में कोई भी, I think our SSF chair John is also here. Welcome, John, and Shiv Kanji is there. And if you any of you want to ask anything to any of the panelists, you can.
If no one else has a question, may I?
Oh yes, please. Yeah.
I
Why?
find Madam Gayatri Chatterjee very fascinating. I would like to, she seems to have worked firsthand with Ritwik Ghatak in the, in the editorial room, as I could understand it. I'm not a filmmaker. Uh, was he, like many creative people are reputed to be, was he short-tempered? With people who didn't understand him
I think
at his
she,
speed.
Sushil Saab, I think she never worked with him in the editing room. She never worked with him in the editing room.
Okay,
She's
she said
talking
she
about the
had.
film. No, she's talking about working with the pieces of film on the editing table, not editing for his
It's not.
films.
She hasn't actually worked with him in person.
No, I
No.
have not worked with, I have not met him, I have not worked with him. But one answer I'll give you, I have talked to his cameramen and people who have worked with him, right? And I don't know whether he was short-tempered or what, but everybody said कि वो पूरा दिखा देते थे कि suppose a camera is here और एकदम bottom frame में Shupya Chaudhary is turning her head this way, वो पूरा का पूरा दिखा देते थे कि कैसे वो होगा. So as I'm saying, that instinct, of course, he was a genius, but at the same time, he absolutely knew कि ये शॉट कहाँ से कहाँ जाएगा, ये मूवमेंट कैसा होगा, ये आदमी कैसे यहाँ से यहाँ जाएगा. Everything was like super mathematics. So I've talked to people who have worked with him. I've never seen him. I've never worked with him. But his writing also.
I think Mr. Kopkar has been in his classes, it would seem.
That's what
I was a student.
talking. He was a student.
Did he
Yeah.
used to be impatient with people who didn't understand him quickly?
He was he was not because they didn't understand him, because they were asking irrelevant things. If you ask something which was relevant, no matter how small it was, he would not lose his patience.
Okay.
But if you try to show off that you know more than him, then not only your clothes, but your skin will also be removed.
Right.
What
Yeah.
a misfortune that we never got to interact with such masters, you know.
Yeah.
Very ordinary professions the rest of us have lived. So, what to do?
May
So-
I add to that?
Yes, please.
To
Please.
answer you, from what I could gather, there is an incident which does show, how a filmmaker like him functions on the sets. Make Dake Tara, the closing scene, I mean, a prelude to the closing, is very famous, where the heroine screams.
Dada mein baajte the.
That. So I came across this account from his writer, Rajguru, who described how this scene happened. And that is very revealing about how he worked. So it seems Rajguru went to the editing room and asked him, how's the film going? He was very, you know, frustrated, let's say, Ghatak. And he said, I want to burn the whole damn thing. I want to burn all the reels because that's not happening. And then Rajguru recited a Tagore poem that the Lord have mercy on such an ascetic or something like that. He went on reciting the Tagore poem and immediately he said, I got it. And he told his assistant, pull out that shot, that 360-degree rotation that we had. It was lying somewhere. And then he told his assistant, call the heroine. Tomorrow you have to get, the way he said that you better make sure she comes tomorrow. So he was very impatient when he got the scene. And then the whole way he shot, he's such a fine artist, but look at the way he shot it. It seems the assistant was holding some leaves and making the sound, all improvised on the spot. And he was telling Supriya the next day that you have to scream like this. And when she began, he was not happy. He said, no, louder, higher, higher. Otherwise, I'll, choke you. He literally, and she says that I screamed at the top of my voice because it really felt that he'll come and choke me. And then he got this shot. So, so this is, and I don't see it as he's becoming angry or something. I see it as, he's seeing the scene in his mind. And unless what he's getting corresponds to it, he's not going to give up, no matter what. So that is the kind of obsession, you may call it, or vision, or whatever word, a filmmaker like that, we must understand that they are not being, in those terms, shouting or being angry and all those things, words that people might use. It's about, he's trying to achieve something. And the filmmaker only has his human material to work with. He doesn't have stone to carve or a brush to, so he becomes impatient. I need to get that. There's
That
no
is
other
an
option. There's no option.
excellent
So-
anecdote. That was really great. Arunda, do you have any? I'm sure I'm very tempted to get an anecdote from you about Ritikda before we conclude.
Well, there are many anecdotes, but I don't think that's something that I would like to speak about. I think I would just like to, on the one hand, he had this tremendous ego, which was undoubtedly, he was so aware of his genius. And on the other hand, he was such an humble man. Like the way he talks about Eisenstein, he says Eisenstein was somebody who not only gave us cinema, he gave us the language to speak about cinema.
Oh,
I'm not worthy of dusting the chappals of Eisenstein, and incidentally, he never wore chappals. So he would talk like that, कि ऐसे Eisenstein, I mean, the way he has spoken about Eisenstein, it's amazing, and nobody has, and even Satyajit Ray says that Ritwik is the only filmmaker who has not been influenced by anybody except perhaps by the Soviets. But he has had he didn't care, didn't give a damn about Hollywood, except somebody like John Ford. But he wasn't enamored of anything.
Which language he mostly spoke? English or Bengali or Hindi with all students?
He spoke a Ghatak language.
Acha, what was that?
which is only Ritwik Da would be able to speak in that fashion. That at one moment, he would be so profound, and next moment, he will be very humorous, joking, or he was also Ajanubahu. That means his hands reached his knees.
Oh, like
So,
Ramchandra.
yeah, so if you were near him and if you were part of the circle that surrounded him, before you asked his question, you just made sure that you were beyond that arm's length
It's
to be
like
on the safe side. Otherwise, you never knew when the hand would come and fall on you. So,
Dhyayet Ajanubahum. He was like in Ram Raksha, it starts Dhyayet Ajanubahum. So he was
yeah.
Dhyayet, he was like Aja. I didn't know that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really we want to keep on going, but
No, no, no.
if nobody has any questions, I would like to invite Shivkant and thanking John also. But Shivkant ji can conclude it and also give a vote of thanks. Shivkant ji, or if Shivkant ji wants to ask
Oh my
something.
God. I mean, Maunam Murkhasya Bhushanam. After listening to all the luminaries, I better keep quiet before I say something which is not appropriate. Anyway, since you are
Shivkant,
asking me,
one request. You can't just get away by looking very handsome. You have to speak.
That's good.
oh, thank you. Anyway, so on behalf of South Asia Cinema Foundation, I mean, Lalit has asked me, so I extend sincere vote of thanks for this enriching webinar on the legendary Ritwik Ghatak ji. First, we express our deepest gratitude to Arun Khopkar ji, Professor Mazhar Kamran, Gayatri Chatterjee, and Zahid Khan. Thank you for sharing profound insights into Ghatak's cinematic genius, partition narratives, and avant-garde vision. We also thank our organization duo, Lalit Mohan Joshi ji and Dr. Kusumpan Joshi, for ensuring a seamless event. Finally, thank you to all our audience for your engaging participation. We acknowledge the spirit of Ghatak himself, whose art teaches us to look at human suffering and resilience with deep empathy. Your presence proves that Ghatak's radical realism continues to inspire, and his art teaches us to look at human suffering and resilience with deep empathy. Thank you all for celebrating his monumental legacy with us. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So every good thing comes to an end, they say. So no matter if we, but I again lastly thank my panelists Arun Khopkar ji, Mazhar ji, and of course not to forget Zahid. Zahid has been a catalyst. He brought everyone together. I must openly say that. So Zahid ji, आप मुझे मेहनत आने के रूप में अपनी किताब जरूर दीजिएगा. And I am also asking Mazhar to keep that copy for me because that is out of print. So thank you so much and all the best. And A very good night to all of you.
Thank you.